You are 8 years old. A man you've never met hands your father a bag of coins. Your father doesn't look back. You are put on a ship. You don't know where it's going. You don't speak the language of the people around you, and you will never see your home again. Welcome to your life as a court woman in the Ottoman Empire, where your entire existence depends on one man's attention and one woman's mercy. Let's be clear about something the movies get completely wrong. The harem wasn't a place you chose. You didn't apply. You didn't volunteer. You were taken. Most palace women were captured through war, purchased at trade markets, or gifted to the Sultan by regional governors trying to earn favor. You could be Greek, Circassian, African, Hungarian, or Slavic. Your religion, your culture, your name, none of it mattered anymore. The moment you entered the Topkapi Palace gates, your old life was legally, officially, permanently over. You were given a new name, usually something like Golbahar, Spring Rose, or Hurrem, the joyful one. Pretty names, decorative names, names that said nothing about who you actually were. And then the training began. Here's what nobody tells you about the harem. The Sultan wasn't your biggest problem. She was. The Valide Sultan. The Sultan's mother. The most powerful woman in the entire Ottoman Empire. And quite possibly the most dangerous person you would ever meet. She ran the harem like a corporation. Every girl ranked. Every girl watched. Every girl competing for the one thing that could change her fate forever. The Sultan's attention. Below her was the Haseki, the Sultan's favorite, if he had one, if she allowed it. And below that, the Kadın, the mothers of his sons. Because sons were everything. A son meant security. A son meant you couldn't simply be transferred when the Sultan lost interest. And below all of them, you, a Kariye, a court woman with no rank, no protection, and no guarantee you would ever even meet the man who controlled your future. Most of you never did. People imagine silk cushions and grapes. Here's what your actual day looked like. You wake before dawn. You pray. Because you've been converted to Islam whether you wanted to be or not. You attend lessons in Turkish language, music, embroidery, poetry, and Quran recitation. Not for enjoyment, as performance. Every skill you learn is a tool to make yourself more valuable, more noticeable, more worth the Valide Sultan's investment. Because here's the brutal economics of it. The palace spent resources training you. If you never caught the Sultan's eye, that was a loss. You might be given in marriage to a palace official, considered honorable, but meaning you'd leave whatever fragile connections you'd built inside these walls. The harem held anywhere from 300 to over 1,000 women at its peak. Think about that number. 1,000 women. One sultan. The odds were not in your favor. And the politics inside those walls? They made any modern workplace look peaceful. Alliances formed and collapsed overnight. A girl who smiled at you yesterday might whisper something to the Valide Sultan's head servant tomorrow that ended everything for you. Rumors were currency, jealousy was the weather, and substances slipped into food, real, documented, historical, were not unheard of. Let's say you beat the odds. The Sultan noticed you. You spent one night with him. Now what? Now you wait for weeks, months to find out if that single night changed your entire destiny, because if you were expecting a child and if that child was a boy, you would ascend from invisible to untouchable almost overnight. But here's where it gets darker. If the Sultan passed away before your son came of age, you were moved to the old palace. The Palace of Tears, they called it. A gilded cage where the previous Sultan's women lived out the rest of their lives in complete isolation, waiting for nothing. And your son, your boy who was supposed to save you? For centuries, Ottoman law permitted the new Sultan to have all his brothers removed the moment he took the throne, to eliminate any challenge to his power. The practice was called fratricide. Legal, expected, routine. You raised a boy knowing that if he didn't become Sultan, he would not survive the one who did. Sleep well. But here's the twist that history cannot stop talking about. One woman figured it out. Her real name was Alexandra. She was Ruthenian, probably from modern-day Ukraine. She was captured as a teenager, brought to the harem, and renamed Hürrem. And Hürrem did something no court woman had done in over 200 years of Ottoman history. She made Suleiman the Magnificent fall completely, obsessively in love with her. She made him free her, legally, and then she made him marry her, a freed court woman, the first legal wife of a sultan in 2 centuries, while he was still alive, still ruling, still powerful enough to do whatever he wanted. She outlived the Valide Sultan who once controlled her. She outmaneuvered every rival in that palace. She essentially ran the empire from behind a curtain for decades. The Ottoman court was horrified. Foreign ambassadors wrote home about her in disbelief. The people called her Roxolana, the Russian woman, and whispered that she must have used witchcraft, because no other explanation made sense to them. She hadn't used witchcraft, she had just been smarter than everyone else in a system designed to make her powerless. Most of the women in the harem didn't get Hurrem's story. Most of them lived and passed away inside those walls, their names unrecorded, their languages forgotten, their families never knowing what became of them. They were owned by an empire, ranked by their bodies, valued only for sons. But they were also, and this is what the palace never fully suppressed, human. Forming friendships, teaching each other languages, raising each other's children, building something like a life inside impossible walls. The harem was not a fantasy. It was a system. And like most systems built by the powerful, it asked everything of the people with the least. If you want to know what happened to Hurrem's sons after her death, that story is even darker. Subscribe because we're going there next.